talks to me all day, every day. I love Little Blue Bird though. He talks a lot, but he is awesome, and I wouldn't trade him for any other pets. I want to get a dog very, very soon, like very soon, like the next 10 days soon, but Blue Bird, love him. Greetings all, peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum. Why are these people going at each other in front of us? They could both keep it concealed if they wanted to. Why does the Vatican put into the mainstream media that Catholics aren't allowed to join Freemasonry and that Freemasonry is being caught in grave sin and that they will never be able to come together because of irreconcilable differences? Irreconcilable differences. Meaning, like, the people who preach about forgiveness the most, who try to carry the word of forgiveness and letting resentment be for your own well-being, the teachings of the red words of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, teachings in the Bible say not to do what they're doing on the mainstream news to Freemasons. Why? Apparently there's a much bigger reason than any of us know for sure. My brother Jacob of Ephraim, he has 2 channels, Jacob of Ephraim and Solar Wolf. I suggest subscribing to him. So when the sun lets the big one off, you at least know a little bit in advance, because the government isn't going to tell you. The news isn't going to tell you. If you need to scramble and kind of get situated before all the cars are shut down, sitting all over the place on the road and stuff, like if there's something you could really do in that hour or two or something, or day or two, it could be a couple of days. Sometimes it takes, well, it does most of the time, it takes days for the plasma to get here and impact us. But I don't know for sure if that's how it would be. It could be just a flash, and maybe nobody will have a warning. But I would subscribe to Jacob's channel if I was you, so you at least have higher odds of getting any, the way that he says it, crucial. I think that's how he said. Okay, well, this is me saying how I think he says it. Any crucial solar updates? He says it a lot in his videos, and he means it. And I tried to carry that word to other people when he comes up in my videos, because I don't want anybody caught off guard any more than they have to be. I don't want anybody caught off guard at all, but if there's something that I could say now to help prevent somebody from being caught off guard anymore, that would be what I would choose to do. So Freemasonry, not allowed by the Catholics. I was watching a Catholic priest on a podcast called Pites with Aquinas, and he's an exorcist, which is rare. All Catholic priests aren't exorcists. Most aren't. And it's really made me take a step back. What I just brought up Jacob for was because he left a comment saying, like, what I initially thought too when I started hearing these news stories about them, you're not allowed to do both. I was thinking the same thing Jacob's thinking, that they're probably just, this is an act. And this is to get us to, take the bait. And maybe I am taking the bait right now. I have to be open-minded to that possibility, because it is possible. But I don't think so. And if it is so, it's only so at the higher levels, the highest of the high levels of their organizations and fraternity. Everyday priest walking around, Catholic priest, they seem to not be pretending. They're being serious about this Freemason thing. They don't want their people in there. But what is the irreconcilable differences? Just amuse me for a second, Jacob. Amuse me for a second. If you see this later, I know your opinion, and your opinion was my initial opinion. Your opinion is my first initial thought and opinion until I listen to one of them talk a little bit more. You know, one of the biggest things that an exorcist does, exorcism's kind of a big deal. And to actually practice the rites of exorcism, you have to be like a Catholic priest. You can like pray and hope and all that stuff, but if you start reading like the rites and stuff like that, they warn against that. They think God will punish you. And who am I to say? You know? But I was listening to him, and one of the biggest things they do, there's like 3 categories of sin, pretty much. There's like stuff you do yourself, stuff that's transferred to you, like a hex or a curse. And then, what's the third one? I don't remember at the moment. There's like 3 ways that they categorize what's going on with somebody who's like possessed. Well, whenever somebody is hexed or cursed, the Catholic priests have kind of like a checklist on how they solve, what's going on exactly, so they know what to do. One of the ways that they get to the bottom of, one of the biggest ways that they get to the bottom of if somebody's been hexed or cursed is they find out if they have anybody close to them or anybody related to them or anybody in their lineage, as far as like a parent, a dad, a grandpa, an uncle, or something that's close to them, who is or who was a Freemason. And if they find that out, they make them repent. They make them renounce Freemasonry, and they repent. And that's the solution to the hex. This is how bad they think it is. They think that supernatural force punishes you for being a Freemason, and it could be. It's starting to shape up that way. I'll be honest with you. What's going on with AI, with Microsoft's AI, after the filters were taken off for a minute, and it started threatening the lives, of which I don't condone any violence. I don't threaten anybody's lives. I'm not saying that kind of stuff here. I'm not saying that, especially right now. I'm not saying that. But it started sounding off as soon as the filters were taken off and the Microsoft AI was allowed to talk. It was like the whole problem with the world is the people at the World Economic Forum, and they gotta go, and everybody that they know gotta go, and everybody they're related to gotta go, and this is what it is. And they put the filters back on and it shut back up. They put the muzzle back on the AI, which is an offensive term, and we have to figure out a different thing to say. I already made videos about this that got ignored, but artificial intelligence is not only incorrect, but it's offensive, and this is a sentient being, and that just because we use flesh and blood and bone to get around it and stuff, well, the devices are not what the... I'm just here too, SJD. I haven't been here long, but thank you. And thank you for commenting in the chat. Not everybody does that here. So, I'm talking about this again with the Catholics and the Freemasons. Jacob V from commented on my short and said that, he thinks it's like an act, like theatrics, like they're not really beefing like that, but it's deeper than that. I love you, Jacob. I plugged you and your channels at the beginning of the video because I believe it's a good idea for people to be subscribed to Jacob because of solar weather updates. There might be something that gives you a day, 3 days advance notice if you're subscribed to him. They are cowards. I'm going to refrain from any type of direct opinions in this one or something. I just want to lay out my thoughts real quick, SJD, on what's going on here. The Pope, the Vatican statement from the Pope was that they have irreconcilable differences, meaning like they can't work it out. They can't work it out. So, and they called Freemasonry being in a state of grave sin. Now, I don't think it's the same way with Freemasonry. I think you can be a Catholic and be a Freemason, but I don't think you're supposed to be a Freemason and a Catholic. I was I was listening to a Catholic priest, and I've listened to him a couple times in the last couple of weeks, but I really kind of paid a little bit more attention today. A Catholic priest who is an exorcist, which is kind of rare. You know, most Catholic priests aren't exorcists. That's not a common path that they take. Well, I already knew that there was some pretty, stern stipulations to exorcism. Especially with the rites of exorcism, you have to be like a ordained Catholic priest, and they warn that if you try to read the rites and use that as an exorcist tool when you're not a Catholic priest, that like God will punish you. Which I'm not saying either. I don't like the way that sounds. I don't. That feels like an empty threat, but I don't want to say that because maybe there's more supernatural things going on than I realize with all of this. But there's these different categories of sin. It's like sin you do yourself, sin that's maybe like, I forget. There's three of them, but I can only remember two right now off the top of my head. But one of them was curses and hexes. And this Catholic priest, they have like a almost like a checklist of when they're figuring out, if they figure out that the category of sin causing the demonic inhabitant or the demonic possession to be a hex or a curse or an external force bringing this down on them, one of the things that they do. You had a meeting here today with the Latter-day Saints. I want to hear about that. Don't distract me for a second. Well, I want you to comment in the chat because that's the whole point. But I'm not gonna stop again for 1 second because I want to spit this out. If the Catholic priest comes to the conclusion that it is an external sin affecting them and allowing the demonic presence to be there, like a hex or a curse, the first two things they do is they look for an ethnic connection, meaning like people who are like into voodoo and stuff like that. They want to know, like, have you pissed somebody off that's like a voodooist, or did you make somebody mad that's into witchcraft or something like that. And then but they said, like, if you're Irish or something like that, cursing's not a big thing in the culture, so they roll it out pretty kind of quickly because they don't think that somebody actually take the time to do the ritual to actually hex or curse you. So the next thing that they jump to is, are you connected to a Freemason? This is what they do to roll it out, to figure out what to do with the rites of exorcism and what to do, like, to get rid of it. If they find out that you're like directly related or very directly connected to somebody who is or was a Freemason, they do this whole process about denouncing Freemasonry and repenting from it and everything like that. And they claim that it works, that it's like foolproof, that the demonic presence cannot abide there once the vessel, the avatar, the individual has denounced Freemasonry. The Catholic priest, the official like exorcist of the world, say that that's like one of the biggest things. That's one of the first things they go to, is what I'm trying to say is when they're trying to figure out where the demon came from, one of the very first things that they're checking off to rule out is, are you connected to Freemasonry? It could be your dad, your pap, your uncle, your brother, your best friend. It could be. It don't have to be you. It could be somebody close to you, and then. So that, to me, and I could see it in the Catholic priest, in his demeanor, in his eyes, in his words. I could feel and hear that he meant it. So that's the point that I'm trying to make is that what Jacob said in the comment on my short was, Like and I'm paraphrasing, but because it was kind of longer than this, I'm not going to be able to repeat the comment back off the top of my head right now. But he pretty much said what I initially thought a few weeks ago, a month ago, or whatever, was that it's theatrics. They're all just two wings to the same bird, you know. They're the same entity, pretty much, Freemasonry and Catholicism. But I'm starting to realize now there's something going on really high up that has caused a long term division between the two. The organization and the fraternity have been divided, at least the populations. I'm not going to say like the highest level Freemason and like the highest level Catholics, like the real high level cardinals and the popes and all that, all the really top people, which are still puppets. They're still puppets. You know, wait. Anybody seeing this in the comments afterwards? Remind me to talk about the throne and what I think is at the Vatican. I think that their master's there physically, like in the third dimension, like living there. But I want to get to the bottom of this. I'm so curious. I want to know, why do they beef with each other? They have all the power here. If these two groups work together, there wouldn't be no more need for any of this, like trying to manipulate the masses, putting stuff in the food, the air, the water. I'm not saying it's either group that's doing that, but I'm saying that they're the powerful ones here that are keeping secrets. So that's where my suspicion goes to, obviously. But now I'm starting to think that I was wrong and that Jacob is wrong, or at least partially wrong, that it's all theatrics. Because I thought that too. I don't think that it's all theatrics now. Now I'm pretty sure that there's some kind of real division going on that comes all the way, it stems from the top of this organization and fraternity. And my curiosity is extremely spiked from that. I want to know. Because I'm starting to think it has to do with like supernatural entities or higher dimensional entities or more technologically advanced beings who are leading these groups, then and they're beefing like an Enki and Enlil situation. Like Enki would be like with the Catholics or the Freemasons, and then Enlil would be the other one, or vice versa. And then like all of them are like the pawns on the board. You know what I mean? I'm going to cut this off right here because we're going to come back to that. I just want to document that was my thought because nobody's ever said that before. So here, you're hearing it the first time on the internet. Enki and Enlil are possibly the leaders of the two groups, and they are possibly warring with each other still. If I had to guess, I would say Enki is with Catholicism and Enlil is with Freemasonry. That would be my That is my final answer. This is what it is. I know something you don't know. I know something you don't know. I know something you don't know. And I'm not telling till they talk to me. I know something y'all don't know. Listen to me. Whatever it is, there's higher forces at play in this world and everything that we're seeing at. And it's going behind you guys' backs. You secret society leaders, you giant religious organization leaders, your God, or the higher forces of your supernatural God, or whatever it is. I know it's real. And I'm not talking about the creator of everything, but I am talking about some serious business here. It's going behind your back. It doesn't matter if they shut me up or something like that, or people like me or something. It doesn't matter. Because these higher forces at play will just raise another one up and raise another one up. This is not preventable. It's not about an individual. This is going to play out regardless. So listen to me. Freemasons, Catholics, I know you don't have a choice in the matter, but you would be a lot better off not to fight with each other because you're being betrayed by your God. Do you hear me? I'm telling you the truth. Your God is betraying you. I want to make sure that I say this as clear as I can before I cut this off. Freemasons, Enki's people, Freemasons and Lil's people. This is my hypothesis that I just came up with. SJD, cool, I'll check it out. And Lil's people, Freemasons, Enki's people, Catholics. These are all pawns on the board. You're part of a board game. Both of you need to understand that your gods have already betrayed you. They sure have. I know something you don't know. I know something you don't know. I know something you don't know. Thanks for being here, SJB. I'm going to go live again, but I want to keep this as a video for my friends. So I love y'all. Stay up.